California Dreamin', where we do dream interpretations and talk about current dreams. If you have any dreams, leave them in the comment section, and hopefully some people can help me with putting some interpretations on them. Make sure if you're new here that you subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. So I just want to talk about one of the most interesting dream stories I think that there is. So Daniel is known as one of the most prominent dream interpreters in the Bible and in the literature. And he was functioning in Babylon, and the majority of the dreams that he interprets are for the king or in that situation for nations or his nation. And so we see this situation come up in Daniel 2 in the Bible, where Daniel is called in before the king with all the other magicians and astrologers and dream interpreters of the day. And the king puts down this basically the biggest challenge to them. And he says, "My word's firm. If you do not make known to me the dream and its interpretation, you shall be torn limb from limb, and your houses shall be laid in ruins. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that you can show me its interpretation." So the king basically didn't trust his dream interpreters or his magicians and sorcerers of the time. And so he was telling them, "I'm not going to tell you the dream. I want you to tell me my dream, and I want you to tell me the interpretation so I can trust the interpretation." And they answered back, the sorcerers and magicians of the time, "There's not a man on this earth who can meet the king's demands, for no great and powerful king has asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter or Chaldean. The things that the king asks is difficult, and no one can show it to the king except the gods who dwell is not with the flesh." Okay, and then the king becomes very angry and furious, and he commands that all the wise men of the whole region be destroyed. So they sent out this decree to kill them, and Daniel and his companions, even though they were God followers and prophets, were lumped in with all the sorcerers and magicians of the time. And so they said, Daniel went in and requested the king to appoint him a time that he might show the interpretation to the king. And then we go on to read about how this mystery, this dream, and its meaning is revealed to Daniel in a vision of the night. So this king puts down a challenge that all of the pagan magicians think is absolutely impossible, to know someone else's dream. And so the Daniel then approaches the king and he says, "Are you able to make known to me the dream that I've seen and its interpretation?" And Daniel answered the king and said, "No wise man, enchanter, magician, or astrologer can show to the king the mystery that the king has asked. But there is a God who reveals mysteries, and he has made known to Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days." And so what he's saying here is basically, yeah, there's no way this is humanly possible, or even with sorcery and enchantments, but God can tell us. And so Daniel goes on to tell the king his dream and the interpretation. And this story has always fascinated me, and I've always wondered, God, would you show me somebody's dream? And that way I would be able to give an interpretation and they would fully understand. And this actually happened a couple of weeks ago to me. I had this feeling for someone. I walked up to him and I said, "People keep calling you the wrong name. And your name is this, but they keep calling you this. And this is why that's happening." And I kind of told them the interpretation of why that kept happening to them. And they looked at me and they said, "How did you know that was bothering me? I actually had a dream about that 2 weeks ago. There was somebody in my dream and they came up to me and they called me that wrong name. And they didn't use my real name. And it's bothered me for all these weeks leading up to it. And you've just explained to me what my dream meant." And I said, "That is so interesting, because I've always wanted to know someone's dream and then tell them what it meant." And I had been actually studying dreams at that point. And so I just really feel like God was speaking in and through that situation. He was showing something that they had dreamed about and hadn't gotten the interpretation on yet. And he actually gave me the interpretation. And I actually used almost the same phrase that was used in their dream. And so it was just a very interesting situation. I think that's something that we should ask God for more, is to know what it's in people's hearts, what he's been speaking to them, and what their dreams are. It brings a huge amount of affirmation for them. It also, actually, it gave me a lot of affirmation that I was able and hearing well when I was giving these interpretations that they were from God. And this dream was quite significant about her identity and her calling right now. And so it was part of what God was calling into her. It was a very beautiful dream. And I think it's an amazing story. And it's just one of those things that sometimes something like that happens and you have to go back to the Bible and say, has this ever happened before? And here it is in Daniel 2. It's happened there.